Great. Thank you for joining us. Columbian is pleased to welcome Vancouver City Councilor Diana Perez and also candidate for re-election. I'm Greg Jane, the editorial page editor. I'll let the other board members introduce themselves. Greg.
I'm Craig Brown, a member of the editorial board.
And I'm Colleen Keller, assistant news editor.
Yeah, Ben Campbell, publisher of the Columbian. Will Campbell editor.
Right, and I should mention your challenger, Robert Elkin, had agreed to meet with us at this time, but is not here, so we're happy to interview you. And also, we are recording this. We will post it unedited on our website. And from there, we'll get started. Why don't you take just 1 to 2 minutes, introduce yourself, give a little bit of background, explain why you were running for re-election, and then we'll get into specific policy questions.
Sure. Pleasure to meet all of you. I'm Diana Perez, resident of the city of Vancouver since 2000. Before that, I was in Southern Oregon, and before that, raised mainly in El Paso, Texas. And I have 2 wonderful children that grew up here, and I established roots. Mainly moved up here because of my federal job. I am a 35-year federal employee, recently brand spanking new, retired September 30th. I also am a biologist and a community advocate, and public services in my DNA, given all of that. I have a master's in fisheries science, my bachelor's in wildlife management, and a graduate certificate from Cornell in executive women in leadership. I've got experience working with local, state, county, tribal, profit, nonprofit. Best experience was working with the tribes in Alaska, hands down. I really value community voice, and thus my extensive volunteer work in the community. Worked with the League of United Latin American Citizens as a volunteer capacity, started our council in 2011. And that was what inspired me to run for city council. Also, being a federal employee, I fall under the Hatch Act. So meaning I could only run for nonpartisan positions, and the city seemed to be the best option for me, given some of the issues that our local communities face. And here I am. I actually started dabbling into politics in 2013 when I attempted to do the freeholder, what they call freeholder, with the county charter review back then. I had no idea what I was doing, but that was my first, hey, if I'm going to learn, best thing to do is just get in. There was really no support network for people like me to learn how to step into this world of how to run for politics or even be in boards and commissions, which then I went into Emerge Washington, which is the first program cohort here in the state of Washington, sponsored by Senator Patty Murray, to teach women on how to run for office. So I did that, and that was what encouraged me to apply for the appointment in 2019 that the city had. And that was, for me, that was a confidence builder. It was exactly what I needed to believe in myself. And then from there, I ran in 2019. I think there was like 7 of us. And that too was the introduction into running for office, for real running for office. Stayed engaged because my journey wasn't going to stop there, and was successful. So I've been leading this great city since 2022, and I continue to, I aim to continue to lead the city with purpose and intention moving forward. And one of the drawing on my experience, education, and proven leadership of bringing people together to talk, listen, and solve problems and tackle some of the challenges we have. And we have a lot of more work to do, especially today. And I'm committed to continue to do that.
Great. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for joining us. Let's start out about talking about one of those challenges the city is still facing, and that's homelessness. Are you confident with the steps the city council has taken? What more needs to be done? Has it been effective to this point? What are your thoughts on that?
I am very proud of the steps that we have taken because what it has done is take us out of status quo. And I think that we are a leader and we have other states and elected officials coming to learn how we stepped up. And I think we did it strategically. So the main thing was having a place where we can support human beings in receiving the wraparound services that they need and also transition and move off the sidewalks, off the streets, from living in a tent to this place that we can begin this journey of rebuilding. And so that goes to the safe space. So thinking creatively about learning from the first effort of which was a innovation center. You remember the Vancouver Innovation Center. So learning from that, taking the input from community and the public, bringing in some more creative ideas and more voices to help solve some of this problem or get us out into doing something different, which was a safe space, temporary in nature, but a very effective. And that's safeguards in a location. During that time, we have worked to build the capacity of our providers and organizations to help provide the support and build that. And also including people with lived experience that can add really that element of knowledge and ability and taking that so that moving forward, now we have the bridge shelter. And so that building what we've had in the training and learning to this higher capacity bridge shelter and support from community to be able to be more effective. That is not the answer. I just want to emphasize that gets us out from doing nothing. And so that is the important point here, is that we are doing something to get us to where we can truly end community homelessness, which brings me to an organization, the ECHO, Ending Community Homelessness Organization, which called itself that in 2022. Before that, I believe it was like a joint jurisdiction in different cities, elected officials in the county to try to come together before I got elected. But when I came into that group, it was very, very apparent how important it is to have people who can work together, collaborate, and truly keep in mind that light of the mission of, listen, our organization, ECHO's mission is to end community homelessness. How are we going to do that? So we transitioned from just getting reports from organizations, because we could read reports at home, to now new elected officials from the county that are coming in, more involvement from the cities, although we need more involvement from our smallest cities to be able to truly tackle some of these issues.
So let me go back to quick
Yeah.
questions. One, just real briefly, were you on the council when the Innovation Center was tried or?
No.
didn't come? Okay,
No.
I wasn't sure of the time frame there.
No.
And the other thing is, but just the city obviously has made great efforts towards homelessness, but in looking around, walking or driving around, what would you say to people who argue those efforts have not been effective? I can still see lots of people sleeping on the sidewalk.
We're not going to get rid of people sleeping from the sidewalk. I mean, if you look at the point in time count, this is just one point in time count, it's 500, right? So, and you think about the safe stays, which is 20 people at each safe stay. We have 4 safe stays. And then with this bridge shelter, 120 at best, give it 100. So that still leaves a few hundred. So my response is, are you aware of what we're doing?
Mm.
Are you aware of the safe stays? Are you aware of the bridge shelter that we have going on? Are you aware of all the efforts that we have? And do you have any ideas? You know, if you have ideas, please let us know. Do you have some suggestions? Please let us know.
Have you ever heard any good suggestions from
Well, good is the subjective thing. So to just take them off the street and put them directly in jail. And the important thing here is that we cannot criminalize being homeless. There are so many people who are, and you've heard this before, who are just stop one paycheck and they're at the threat of being out in the streets. And so I want to go back to, yes, it's not perfect, but we have something that has moved the needle. And this is what we're aiming for. And I think that aiming for is so important to share what it is that we're doing, where it is that we want to go. And one of the important things that with ECHO, working collaboratively with the county and the other cities is to do an ecosystem analysis of all the systems that we have in place beyond the housing action plan. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. We build system after system after system. And so now you have misalignment, possibly conflicting policies, possibly systems that are duplicative or inefficient. So I think that we truly want to take an effort in seeing where we can look for efficiencies, where we can erase duplication, and where we can make sure that we are truly working collaboratively. And the public needs to see that, and the public deserves it, and whoever deserves it most is our homeless people. For us to work collaboratively and make this happen. But where the rubber hits the road is actual housing productivity. So this gets me to a report by Council for the Homeless. They have a great dashboard that you can go and get data and such. But one of the top 2 reasons for people being homeless, this is according to data from Council for the Homeless, is housing affordability and domestic violence. Those are the 2 top things. The landscape for our camps and people out in the streets has gotten more volatile. There's more predation on vulnerable people. We have more families and children. So how are we collaborating with the school districts to help the families and the children versus this is where you can go get food. This is where you can go get a backpack. We need to focus on the root causes as best as we can, knowing that there are things outside of our control, but we're not alone. That's where we lobby state. That's where we push for accountability. That's where it's not just us, but other cities and organizations. And so this is a whole conference in itself.
Oh, sure.
As far as
And and I'm sure we could spend the whole
Yes.
time on that, but there are other issues, so I'll move on to
Yeah.
Colleen.
Okay, but I am curious about sort of tagging on to that with you're talking about housing affordability. Could you maybe, since you've been on the council, what has the city done to try to address the lack of affordable housing?
I think the city's done some really good strides as far as looking at zoning changes, looking at building more middle income or middle housing, supporting our developers as far as deferring some fees and helping with public engagement, because part of it is ensuring that our communities are accepting the higher density that we are wanting to do and need to do. The other great thing is the ability to take a single home family lot. And if you have the space to be able to add an accessory dwelling unit or a mother-in-law house or other smaller units on there, what I would love to see us do is have ready-made plans so that if you want to develop a ADU, you can bypass a lot of the permitting, the process and all that, and you go to the city and the city's like, here are 3 options for 3 plans that you can choose from, or you can go, do the other route, but here's 3 that have been approved.
What would it take to develop those ready-made plans?
It would take looking at our normal single-family home lots and obviously the grade level, looking at the how big they could do. So looking at the average lot sizes that we have for single family home loans. So there's some
So
technical
would
aspects
that be the city planning department? Who would handle that?
either, or it could be contracted out. I mean, it's just, when there's a will, there's a way, and we could be creative, and public-private partnerships have a role to play, and I think we don't use enough of that. So that is the vision, is to be able to assist our residents to be able to add to their lots and help. As far as our age, we have an aging community, and so the ability to age in place, helping through our affordable housing fund, being able to rebuild or remodel or upgrade or address the falling roof when somebody has a fixed income and not able to do that in their home. So we have those support services. It's difficult when you have a home, there's a plug in the home system. I heard this the other day, we have a plug in the system. And if you have a home and you're at 3% interest rate, why would you want to move to a different home and have 7% interest rate? But this home, all your kids have grown and it's just you and your partner, or just you, and you've got all this space in a home. So that's what means by the plug. So we have a plug happening. I don't know how extensive it is, but it's real. The other part of this is trying to understand the challenges that the developers face, not only in where and how big, but their financing, and the banks willing to consider them a lower risk or moderate risk, and their ability to finance to be able to make it pencil out. So those are some of the things we've done. We've gotten rid of the parking minimums, which I think is really good, allows a little more flexibility for our developers to work on that and be able to develop the parking that they feel is appropriate. Doesn't mean parking is not going to be developed. It just means that they're not constrained to a parking minimum. And it allows better flexibility and design.
And I know that's a relatively recent change. Have you seen any palpable results from that? Is it going to make a difference?
I have not seen the results yet. I'm hoping it will make a difference. It's making a difference in other cities like Spokane that have done the same thing. So I think here we'll see how that works. There's concern from adjacent neighborhoods as far as, cars going on there, but we have a way where we can monitor that and we can look at that. And especially if there's car parked for long periods of time, we also have a reporting way to do that.
Colleen, did you?
Yeah, just to shift gears a little bit, what is your assessment of the city's Complete Streets program, which is something that does seem to get a lot of people riled up from different neighborhoods, et cetera? Do you feel it's been successful? Is it the right way to go, say, with the changes that are planned for McGillivray? Or would you like to see a different approach?
I think the overall goal and mission to improve mobility for all different people is important. What's more important is to do it safely and to be able to get from point A to point B. With that said, does that mean a one-size approach is the best way? And I don't necessarily think so. I think we need to take lessons from what happened, for example, in McGillivray, and see how we can do better. I've also heard from youth and parents that although they were really frustrated with the traffic, the same improvement that was done on Fourth Plain, they now feel safer riding their bike and actually ride their bike or walk. And they feel better that their parents can also do the same. There are many people that don't drive. And I think that hearing from community that they feel safer going on in the streets is one litmus test. The other litmus test is the community engagement piece and being very thoughtful in that approach. And so assessing, we could say that we sent out flyers, that we met, that we worked, and it wasn't until very last minute. Okay, I mean, that happens, right? That happens. And so we can't bypass that and say, you had the opportunity, sorry, goodbye, this is it. I think we need to have a concerted effort to work together on addressing the true needs of that area, because not every area is the same. The other thing is that we do want connected neighborhoods. We want to be able to get from one neighborhood to the next in a safe way. And going towards that 15-20 minute neighborhood concept is important. So I believe our complete streets, we should monitor it and adjust accordingly. If it doesn't work, then we tweak it. And I think that, we forget that we're allowed to do that. We can do that. We have the power to do that. And so, but also being genuine and forthright on the engagement piece to be able to bring our residents along into why certain things are happening, or maybe a better option or a better way.
Thank you, Craig.
Sure, talk a little about council districting, election council members by district. That's something that's on the ballot this year. I think maybe you were involved in part of that process. So talk a little bit about how that worked and why you came to the conclusion that you did.
Sure. Trying to think. Oh, so in 2019, one of the ways that I stayed engaged was being part of this council representation task force. And there were other members there, and one of the things that council representation task force was in response to the same recommendation that was made from a charter review committee. So instead, let's put a task force together and tell us what they think. So that was my first introduction to districting. And then we had some really good discussion about districting and the pros and the cons and the fears and the possibilities. And at the end of the day, it is all about opportunity and access. And regardless, because today anybody can run. The same opportunities are there, but by districting, those opportunities are improved. They're better. And so direct access to your elected official, more awareness of the opportunity to be able to do that because you have this exposure of more access to your elected official. And how wonderful is it to have such a diverse group of people who want to run, such as my opponent, to step in and want to run. And I think that is critical to ensure that every neighborhood, that every part of our city has that ability to access their representative. Not to say that they don't know now, but this improves it. And I think it's up to us as elected officials to have a higher standard of being able to coordinate, collaborate, and truly look at the city in its whole and be that voice of the issues, because we can't know the issues in every neighborhood and be at every neighborhood meeting. And so it's tough. And I think having this approach where you have two at large, the mayor elected, and then a council representative for each district is a wonderful recipe to be able to have better representation of the issues, of the neighborhoods, of the people, of the voices, and access.
What are the cons?
The cons of the districting, the main con that I've heard is that that's all I'm going to, as a district representative, I'm only going to focus on my district and not the rest of the city. Or that, there would be this phantom, this fighting for resources or prioritization. But I think that our city has a and this is where city staff, it's incredible the work that they've done to look at the entire city, not just the city, but also our urban growth area, and see where those priority needs are and the priorities. What are the benchmark and criteria that we're using to prioritize? And those are data driven. Okay? And so it's input. We got some analysis, data driven analysis that's used to inform us as elected officials. And then us as elected officials as a body collaborate, coordinate on those prioritizations. Does that mean that those prioritizations are static? No. It just means we have something to go with that's legit. And the other fear is just the change in dynamics. But I think we'll have that regardless of whether we have like ideology and stuff. But we have that even without districts.
Anything?
No,
Ben?
So Diana, since you were elected in 2022, what would you say your biggest accomplishment is? And on top of that, over that time span, looking back, is there anything you wish you would have done differently?
Great question. My biggest accomplishment is that I am a strong community voice. And what that means is I've been able to champion some of the things that impact community well-being, which one of them is childcare. So introducing that into our vocabulary and language and ensuring that we're thinking about it. We may not be directly in charge of it or involved in it, the county takes the lead, but we have a role to play because it's interrelated with our workforce and our economy. And so being able to just elevate that conversation amongst us, I'm happy. The other thing is to be able to champion our equity resolution. And that was very important because you see what we're going through today. It has to build the trust, gain the trust, and stay committed for all residents, not just a few, but all people with disabilities, are aging, low income, various backgrounds and experiences, races, languages, abilities. I mean, it's important that when we talk about equity, that it's not just one-sided conversation. This truly is ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to live to their fullest potential and access the resources and opportunities and programs and services that we provide, that taxpayer dollars provide. So I'm excited about that.
What's something you would have done differently?
Oh, well, let me finish thank you for that. So, before I came on city council, we were talking about those things. So I'm happy that we are now doing that. One of the things that, my background, I come from a network sphere that is very different. And so one of the things that I wish I would have learned a little bit more is established an earlier relationship with some of our larger business community. And that's because I'm not a business owner, but although now I'm working on starting my own business, so I can learn on that. But that's one thing I wish I would have done is establish an earlier relationship with our business community so I could better understand the nuances. And for example, when we had the workshop on the economic opportunities with fourth plan for all, and we were talking about how 47% of the businesses aren't able to access loans because of they don't have the 2-year requirement. And so we don't have a community development finance institution here, what they call CDFI. We don't have that in this area to help 47% of our small businesses who are trying to do this. So that's a barrier. And now I can talk about it. And so it's those things about learning how to talk about some of the issues. And that is because of my conversations with other business owners that I'm able to to understand and get it. So, and that goes back to the point of trying to be everywhere for everyone and know everything. So,
Okay, great. Well,
What business are you trying to start?
well, well, actually, I am trying to start a cat cafe lounge. Yes.
Why not?
It is something completely different. As you know, I'm a retired federal employee where I was strategic, uh, doing things at the national level, and this is now something completely different. I'm learning something new. Um, and I'm doing it with another couple. So when I found out that this other couple was also wanting to do a cat cafe lounge, I was like, why are we gonna do this together? Let's meet. So we met and we got along great. And now the three of us are gonna partner and do a cat cafe lounge and I love it.
Do you have a location to go?
I'm hoping on the east side,
Okay, I'm so.
hoping on the east side. And,
What would the experience be like for someone going in there?
well, this other couple is a younger generation than I am, so part of it will have like a gaming area. There will be a partition for cats that can be adopted, so we would foster cats and have a partnership with, like furry friends and such, and offer just tea, coffee, and prepackaged goods, and the ability to come in and it'll be a community space where people can come and talk and learn. I also have been manically making earrings because I was part of the first group that got put on administrative leave back in January 22nd. So as a federal employee, I was like, so it was therapeutic for me. And I've just been manic about making this. So there would be a little boutique kind of wall in the cat cafe area. So and space for crafts and space for people to come and game and have their cats and relax and come together. And I don't know, for all the fur baby loving people out there, it's like, how can you not want to be with a cat and get your cat fix for the day?
Have you been to a cat cafe before?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Down in California, been to cat in El Paso has one, ironically, that's which is like, oh my God, they have a cat cafe. Japan has some amazing ones. Obviously here I'm learning, we got, okay, there's a city, then there's a county, now there's a state, so I'm learning all these added English.
What are the, some of the big barriers that you're finding for the thing business?
Well, one was the CDFI,
Okay.
not having 2 years. So 2 is not knowing exactly what I'm doing because so I reached out to the Vancouver Chamber to learn. Got got a mentor from SCORE. And so it's just a lot of steps. And this added partnership with 2 other people. So there's like, we need
Right.
to have a good partnership established. And so the space that we need, the cost of a square foot, some facilities don't want to deal with cats in their in their area. So
Is your experience so far maybe changing some of your ideas on politics in any way?
no, no, just other than, okay, small business. So one thing that is kind of influencing me is like, we need more, not need more. We need to acknowledge how our small businesses really define the identity of our city, right? So I myself, when I go to visit another city and it's like the same big chain stores, I get bored. Because I don't feel like I left to just take a vacation. It's like, oh my God, another Target, another Walmart, another, it's like, where are the small stores that have that local flavor, boutique or, right? And I want our city to be known for that. In addition to, I spoke at the North Bank, Vic event that they had and welcomed the larger founders. So being able to scale up so that we're reaching beyond this region and bringing in larger businesses that have this unique startup way. So I'm excited
Yeah.
about that.
So I have to ask.
Yeah.
Do you think that owning a business will make you less inclined to raise taxes for businesses?
Oh, I appreciate the challenge. I do. And I know I don't like taxes now being raised as a non-business owner. I'm retired now and I'm gonna be making half of what I was making and my property taxes are still going up. So just that, and then now more taxes. So I don't want to see any more taxes being raised. But here's what I think. I think that frustration is real and I appreciate it. But it's not just city taxes. It's federal taxes. Are we looking into how we are being impacted by these federal taxes? And so these national policies that are failures at the local level. So I feel like the city takes the brunt of that frustration. And as a business owner, I will find out. I will find out, and that's why I'm excited about doing this because I'll be able to be articulate about it and more knowledgeable and empathize better, and be able to learn more about how we can be creative in some of that. Does that answer your question?
Right, anything else?
Just since you were mentioning taxes, what is your stance on the public safety and with Prop 5?
As much as I hate more taxes, this has been an issue since I was on Stronger Vancouver. Do you remember Stronger Vancouver? So that was one of the other task force committees that I
10
was
years ago.
on. Yes,
Yeah.
to understand the city's revenue because of the projected deficit. And so even at that time, we weren't meeting the demands of a growing population when it came to fire and police. And so here we are now, the reality hitting us. So we knew back then that we weren't going to meet the demands. And BNO was one of those tools in Stronger Vancouver, but there was a lot of pushback from outside to do that, even though the Stronger Vancouver had business representatives and nonprofit. So long story short, we're dealing with it now. And we are 200,000 and growing. And we're like at a ratio of 1.2 officers per 1,000 residents, which is less than what we need to be at. And we have 2 interstates going through the heart of the city. And with that comes things in and out. And I support Prop 5. I'm glad that there was a fix on it to where let's bring in at least more officers and having those additional officers to help our current workforce from continued overtime, because they have a family too, and they're part of our community as well. And so it's important that we provide the resources and support that they need. Is it the answer? No, but it's better to assess the budget a bit more on, I don't know how much longer we need to, or if we still are doing the sign-on bonuses, and what the total of those sign-on bonuses have been. But we were at a point where that's where we needed to bring on, I don't know if we continue to do that, but so I'm supportive of Prop 5, to add on and keep our safety, because right now people are not happy when they call 911 and nobody shows up, because our officers are dealing with, a homicide, a murder, and somebody's property was stolen or broken into, so they have to prioritize. And so we're not meeting that need.
Thank you. Anything else? Diana, want to give us your final pitch for why voters should support you?
Voters should support me because we have a lot of work to continue doing, and I'm committed to continuing to doing that. So I have my proven leadership that I bring people together to talk, listen, and ensure that we can come up with solutions. I'm collaborative, I'm cooperative, I'm not afraid to be bold and courageous, and I'm action oriented. And I truly appreciate and want to be well informed, and I want to hear all sides, and I want to make sure that we have a balanced approach to our city growth, and that we're tackling those issues and eliminating some of those.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And just to reiterate, Mr. Elkin had agreed to meet with us, was not available at the appointed times. Anyway, thank you. I'm glad you could be here.
Thank you.